Welcome back to my first step ever, my friends, where stories of courage, conviction, and beginnings come true from life. And I know that what really pulls us behind is the fear of failing at each and every step. And the most hardest step is the first one. So each week we meet someone who once stood on the edge of uncertainty and chose to take that bold first step. Today's guest has turned every step into a state and a stride towards justice, inclusion, and empowerment. And how? So meet Dr. Raina Khatri, founder and CEO of Right2Rise, India's first ISO accredited organization for women and child rights certifications and compliance. Now, here we are with someone who's doing some serious business and serious work. But how it all began with the really young Raina who was growing up somewhere in India, we'll come to get to know that. But she also leads the RKT Foundation and Empowering Lives NGO, advocating for POSH, POCSO, cyber safety, DE&I, and human rights. And with 23 years across IT, HR, and law, two PhDs and global recognitions like the UN RX Karamveer and Nari Shakti Awards, Dr. Raina is also a Harvard certified human rights expert and five-time TEDx speaker. What an honor to have her today on this podcast. So, today we go beyond the accolades to the mindset, turning points, and grit that shaped her journey. So I would say hit the follow button if you haven't so far for the podcast and sit back and listen to the journey that unfolds so that you can build conviction in your journey today. Welcome on my first step ever, Dr. Raina.
Thank you so much, Sai. Pleasure to be here with all the viewers and all the lovely people that are listening out to you. An honor to be here on this podcast sharing my views and more about the story to unveil as you ask. Yes, thank you.
Before we begin, Dr. Raina, I think the first thing I just want to tell you that I think we just had a very brief interaction just before getting into this podcast. And the first impression that I got from you is powerful, full of strength, and full of love to help people grow. So I think that's something that kind of runs in you as a person, in your personality. And it's very right, I think, in the way and obvious that the way your journey has shaped and in the kind of sector and in the kind of industry that you're giving back or you're empowering people. So before we kind of go and understand that what you do at present, we have heard about all the accolades that you have so far. Let's step back to the very beginnings of the little Raina growing up in India. Could you please take us through your background and who were you as a child?
Wow. So, first of all, thank you so much for empowering me by making me realize that, Rena has changed over a period of time. Because when I was very young, the first word that I heard people telling me was that boisterous, that naughty Rena, that khatre wali Rena has come in front of us and she's surely going to break and she's going to put things down and, she's going to just shake our lives out because the little girl has been here and she's going to be all over the place. So I was never a very, maybe a strong and a powerful and empowering lady. But yes, there's no force better than having this powerful woman out there determined to rise. Because that's the most beautiful thing that you can have in your life. Somebody who's always there, smiling, moving on no matter what. And that's what has turned me today. A lot of years back, there were people even who said, when we see you, initially, yes, we can see a lot of strength, but we also have somebody who's very ego driven on the face when you don't know the person. So sometimes people just, read you like a book cover, not knowing you. But today, when you said this, uh, probably it's the aura that has changed over period of time because of the people you are surrounded with, for the people who you are serving, not only friends and family who are strength, but also the people extended to you who feel that you are much more higher in purpose to them. So let's go to this little naughty Rena that you had not known of. Interestingly, by face, I look like a North Indian, but I am born and brought up in Chennai, and that's the south part of India. So interestingly, I'm a Chennai born lady in a most driven North Indian family who always feel, women are supposed to be indoors and they're supposed to be driving homes, passionately helping the men in whatever they feel in terms of supporting back end. But little did I know that I'm going to be running my company someday. As a child, I never thought I would get into running a business. I always thought I would be somebody very meek. I would be probably somebody who's, just supporting uh, a little back end on maybe the mother and the homemakers line. But yes, I was very passionate about art. Whenever, as a 4 year, 5 year old, I used to enter into many premises. Yes, there's a lot of laughter, a lot of fun, a very fun loving person, like you said, who would probably do what she likes and she will enjoy every bit of what she is living in the moment, which we fail to bring to our life when we grow older. And that's what is,
Hmm.
a combination of patience, resilience, strength, and the right kind of focus to your work, which evolved over a period of time. Secondly, as a child, when I grew from school, it was all about just going to school, doing your studies, coming back home like a focus child. It's not like you going out of the box, which I had never thought I would just break all barriers and hit all glass ceilings and do something extraordinarily different. So even I would be amazed saying that transitioning from being just a 10th 12th student of doing science, the only thought was to do engineering. But post electronic and telecommunication engineering, I went into something very different, of an extreme situation of a very, a meek driven girl in a very close unit of a North Indian family, never thought would step out of doors or even go across cities, went all the way across borders to do her master's. So among the 12, 13 siblings that my father has, I think I was the
It's a
first
huge
girl.
family.
Yeah, the first girl to actually step out of her home and go all the way to UK to do her masters. That too, not in a business sector, but more into a engineering sector, which is more a job driven, background. So it is something very huge, and
Yes.
specifically into when never and nobody knew that girls could do VLSI chip design engineering in the year of 1998. I chose to do that, saying that I'd like to do something on hardware engineering. So
So
yes,
thank you so much, first of all, Dr. Anna, for letting us take a peep into your early childhood and your early adulthood as well, to say so. And I'm so glad that we are discussing this right now, because what I see is what you mentioned, that as you see yourself back then, you felt that you were this meek or maybe this shy Raina. You had ambitions, but then you probably believed in what was told to you about what a woman or a girl could do, or that's how, what you saw, what you heard is what you envisioned for yourself. But you did take a few more bold steps in your life, like being the first woman in your entire family, to be able to go abroad and study. I think that was a big first step itself, to do something different in your family. I don't want to kind of touch upon your mindset around this time, because I think when we are growing up, a lot of what we hear, what we see, what we are told, that becomes our truth for our
yes,
life.
yes.
But now we know that you are very different from where you started off. So this is a very interesting understanding, or a takeaway for our listeners, if we could kind of delve a little deep into this one. What were your top three thoughts about your own self, like in your early teens, if you can say that, from what you've heard around, that that what were you capable of? What did you really think about yourself? The top three things you thought that you were capable of at that time.
Right. So I can tell you one thing, that when I was a child and probably closing to 10th and 12th, first of all, very interestingly, I've done my 10th and 12th from the great Jayalalitha school. And my father was always very particular that the kind of education even his girls get should be none lesser than giving it to a boy. So I really salute him for that, because that was the one thing I got as a legendary gift from my family, my mother and father, that they always educated us to get the best. The second thing was, as a girl, every girl, I would say, should know two things: what and why she wants, or who she wants to be. Okay, she should never develop an idea of what her parents would like to be. Of course, she can get ideas
Absolutely.
from her parents, from a sibling, from her family. And at that moment also, everybody told me, everybody is in the CA, everybody is in the business. Why don't you join something on similar line? And my father was like, do what you feel is right. So no one can make you feel inferior or make you do something unless you don't give consent. So
Mm.
at that time also my father was like, you choose what you really want. And I made it a point that when everybody is doing one thing, I'm not going to be doing that. I'm going to have a different path. When everybody is doing business, probably I would not want to do business. I would like to see how it is like being doing a job. And maybe that's another, you can say a woman chooses to be who she is because she also wants to unveil the unknown, and
Mm.
knowing the unknown actually gives you a lot of knowledge beyond, and not restricting yourself to something that you already know. So, two things: I wanted to be who, or I wanted to choose who and what I want to do. Number two, because my father always exposed me to the best of education and said, education is only going to be with you till the end, including the learning that you're going to develop. That made me take very different paths to what any other girl would do. And number three, I also saw that whatever the world thought of girls, and girls evolving at that time from these kind of families, my father still said, you should go ahead and fulfill your dreams. So as a strong woman, I stood up for myself. I was very strong, level headed. In fact, strangely, let me tell you that when I left from Chennai all the way to UK, I went via not a direct flight for the first time. I went via Dubai. I didn't have a mobile phone. I didn't have a laptop. In those eras, there was nothing, and we had to wait almost 40 to probably take two flights with waits at the airport, transition, then reach the airport, take the metro, which is first time, buy a ticket in spite of having a traveler's check and not a currency, convert that, then probably go to a foster family home and not to your university, handling the tantrums of a new foster family home, westerner, and then probably seeking out how do I reach to a phone booth to make a call to my parents. So after those such long hours, when I made the call, my father just broke down in tears.
He was proud of you.
It was goosebumps because before maybe 4 or 5 hours, I was stranded on the airport, not knowing what to do, figuring it out. For the first time, a girl who's never left indoors, not even gone to a city from Chennai to probably any other nearest city, to go all the way so far and to explore people who may or may not be willing to help you, and to also check that these people could be somebody who suspects women, not support women, maybe get into any kind of cheats or frauds. Fortunately, at those times, UK people were very friendly and there were nothing to fear about, or they were very, very friendly, supporting people who said, we will guide you and help you. And I could just make my first call by even getting those coins and not notes. But the
Mm.
minute I just picked up that call and he answered, hello, are you safe? And I said, yes, I'm good, I'm safe. And that just broke him down that, maybe he should have come all the way along with me, which is quite difficult in those days. I'm talking about, say, 25, 26 years down the line where, parents didn't have that much budget to, take a flight and come along with you to
Absolutely.
drop you there. Or there were no mobile phones. So we had to patiently wait till we could connect. Now it's so much easier, it's so much approachable, and you have everything from Skype to mobiles to Wi-Fi's, and so much more comfort. So,
Absolutely,
yeah.
Dr. Raina. Yeah, I think firstly, I would say that I'm happy to know that you had a really strong foundation through your father. I think you had a really good guidance while growing up, even in those, constraints where there were voices and there were narratives that was telling you that what a woman should be doing or what their life could look like. You had a very strong male voice supporting you and showing you what's possible and what's more important. And I think it's a very, very brave feat from your parents' side and your side as well to kind of, do that 46 hours long journey for the very first time with no communication. For us,
Let me
at
tell you,
least,
it was not easy because I personally feel that when you are in your house, You take all the advantage of having the lovely food that your mom and dad prepare and also the love and affection that you get. But the minute you are outdoors, I think you really cherish every moment of what they would have done for you. And secondly, like you said, Shani, it was not easy even to take the decision because maybe our parents are not that educated to get even the SOPs and interviews and the letters or even sign up for the universities, which I think in those days we would do it by finding out from friends, from fraternity. We didn't have any visa agencies or, a
Yes.
lot of them who were abroad, sending students abroad, but we had to figure out sending the entire proposal of even getting an admission to a college on our own. And nowadays you have
Yes.
everything done. So
Yep.
considering all those challenges, I am very fortunate that today, we at least know how to do the basics when we are
Yes.
even stopped at any place and said, how do you do this? How do you not do this?
Right. And this is, Dr. Anna, this is where I'm actually getting at, because from what I see, this was in a way your very first step overcoming one sort of, challenge for yourself, getting out there on your own, figuring out so many things just to get out of the country for the very first time. Now, if I want to generalize the situation for a lot of our listeners or people who are watching us today, they might be in the similar situation, or they might be in a different situation, but the feeling is same because you're doing something for the very first time which you have no idea about. If you could take us through the mindset that you were in that helped you, even though you were feeling the fear, if you can just take us through briefly what really helped you get through that first step or at that point in time, that can help our listeners as well.
Wonderful. So I'll break it down into three steps. Point number one, you will never know everything. You will never know everything, but all you have to do is to start somewhere. So whether you are applying for your university, not knowing the list of universities, now you have so much of better tools like ChatGPT, you have Gemini, you have Claude, you have so many other Google tools, you have people who are around you. I would just say probably start somewhere and look out for people who can help you. Point number two, the whole world will always be against you, but always listen to your heart. Okay, you'll have people who will rise, who will drop, who will falter, who will backbite, who will do everything in the world. But all you know is what's the correct thing is going to come from here and here. Listen to your heart and your head on what do you really want and convey it out to the whole world, including maybe your social media, your parents. Let them know what you feel and what you really want to do so that they know that they have to align to you and universe will align to you if you put it out there. And point
I
number
really,
three, nothing comes easy. Nothing comes
absolutely.
easy. Believe me, you start giving an exam. Exam is just the beginning. You go ahead, do your JEE or you do your GRE or you do your TOEFL or you fly abroad or you do your college year or you do your GATE exams or you do your NEET exams, IITs, you do anything. Nothing comes easy, including getting a job or starting a business or doing an MSME entrepreneurship or even joining some kind of new ventures. So every day will be an exam. Every day is going to be a challenge. All that matters is how do you stick around? How do you stay strong? How do you move on? In simple way.
That's why I think I absolutely love, delving so deep into the mindsets of our guest speakers around the particular situation, and very, because I think people are listening to us right now from all across the globe, and they might have different phases in their life. There are different stages in their life, and when you break it down to the level when you say that, that every day is going to be different, and it is about trying every day, getting up every day, doing that effort, and it's not going to be simple, but it is your resilience that, going to get up every day and still do it with a smile because you chose this path. And one very important thing, Dr. Raina, that you mentioned, that I think I very deeply resonate with, is what you said, that, and I think I've mentioned this before in the podcast as well, that your parents will always want the best for you. They'll have the best intentions for you, but that doesn't mean that they would know the best thing in the terms of what you want to do in life. That's only you who could figure out on your own. And when you do figure it out, it is your duty to put it out there, as you mentioned, Dr. Raina, to let people know, to let your parents know that this is what I really align with. help me on this journey, because they are there to help you. They're going to do their best. Even your friends or colleagues who wish the best for you, people see you from their own perspectives. They have seen you certain way, they have the certain image, but you as a person evolve over the period of time, and maybe what you knew about yourself a couple of years ago was something that you knew from the other people about yourself, but in the next couple of years you got the time to spend with yourself, and you really understood that who you are and maybe where you want to go. And that's when you need to put it out there. It's your responsibility to let people know, this is who I am, this is what interests me, and this is where I'm going. Can you help me? I would love to go around about doing that same thing. So thank you so much, Raina, for kind of reinforcing that really important fact. Given that from here, as we move forward, you came to UK, you had this amazing, extraordinary, challenging, yet I think very, very valuable journey that you had. You did your masters over here. What did that period teach you over here that you could probably share with our listeners? Because you were studying for something that would put you out in the market for a job, and now you're doing completely different. So what did you learn from that phase of your life?
So, at the moment, presently, I run a company called Right2Rise, and Right2Rise believes everybody has the right to rise. And we specialize as India's only ISO 21001 14024 accredited body into DE&I, a lot of women rights, POSH, POCSO, children safety rights, organizational safety rights, ISO certifications, and audits and consulting. What is similar in this journey and that is that people will always look at you in different views, biased, unbiased. People will always assess you in different ways. Okay, when I stepped into the college, I'm sure you understand that, if you get into a different world in India and world in UK is different. The people in India, people in UK are different. They look at you in different eyes. Somehow you are entering into a territory that belongs to them and not to you, and it could be different thing, like maybe a bias, maybe a stereotype, maybe judging you, maybe assessing you, maybe thinking, okay, where do you fit this place or not, maybe generational diversity, neurodiversity, you call it different things. But all I can say that women standing anywhere together can move mountains. So yes, I found a very dear friend in a batch of say 35. We had all men and only three women.
Wow.
Yes. And out of three women, there was only one woman from India, and that was me in
India.
that batch. So interestingly, even though I was the only girl from India, there were other boys or youngsters who were dudes who did join the course from India. But the first thing that I came out from a girls' school, I had never encountered being with men. Completely a women's school, completely a women's college, and then getting into a master's that is absolutely co-ed with nobody from India into the girl gang and completely a boy gang. It was a complete shift for me to even accept another gender to be one among us and just be friends. Because here you
Wow.
know how to draw the line. Here you know that you don't have to be biased. Here you know that you have to be safe. Here you have to look at how you can still interact by keeping respect, dignity, rights for everybody around you. And here you are breaking an entire shift from, a lot of extremes that you've never faced. Another
Yeah.
interesting thing is when I passed out, I think I was the top three students of that batch.
Wow.
Okay, and people don't take you very comfortably when you pass out with flying colors, but most of them loved it because they knew the kind of effort that went into the research. Because this was not a written examination, this was a project driven examination where we have to develop, design, code real VLSI, Verilog, hardware driven circuits that have to work. That's your
Hmm.
project. You have to work, have a working chip design model, and you have to make the entire circuitry work, and you have to write the coding sheets, and you have to do your entire project and submit, and nobody can say that you were good or bad, because if it works, then you pass. If you answer the viva, then you pass. Otherwise it doesn't work. So there is no questions of favoritism, or you got more, you got less because of somebody feeling something
Right.
about you.
Yep.
Okay, so everybody was very appreciative, and not 1 minute of my stay there I could feel any kind of inferiority. I can tell you that. Okay, but
This is
uh,
incredible.
Today, when we go to workforces in any corporate sector or join jobs or join any other place, you don't know from where politics arises. You don't know from where what people think about you. You don't know what is the kind of biases that people hold, including biases you hold for them. And I don't understand whether it is the air of the atmosphere or is it something that we are holding since a lot of generations, a lot of things that we carry from maybe our childhood to today. Okay, so this is what I would like to enforce, that challenges are something that might come and go, but they're not so bigger than yourself. Always keep that high integrity of respecting others, being positive towards others, no matter how they react to you, because that was the only thing that was at heights at that point of time, which probably I would say I don't have it even today. Okay, being
Right.
very positive is something very unlikely in people because we have so much things happening around us that it's prone to have a balance of positive and negative in our life. We can't be perfect all
Absolutely.
the time, okay? So
Yeah.
that period of my time did taught me that never look at the negative picture in life, never underestimate yourself at any moment in your life. So I don't remember of even a single day where I would think, okay, I can't do it, or this is not me, or this is not, I can't really get to this, or I'm not going to be able to do this, which probably we would, as entrepreneurs, as businesswomen, we would even think today. Okay.
Yes, that's right. That's absolutely right. And I think, Dr. Anna, I would like to definitely touch on your journey of entrepreneurship and how all that started in a couple of minutes over here. But what I want to kind of, delve deeper into a phase of your life, as you mentioned, is something that you mentioned in your journey so far, like when you were in UK and you you've been in all girls school all the while, and then you were put into a place where it was majority there were men. And if I can kind of deduce the situation for our listeners and for people who are watching us to a situation where they are completely uprooted from what they have known in life so far and kind of put into something. In your case, it was so willingly, but sometimes like you put into situation
Finally.
or with people that you have no idea about. So if you could probably touch upon the feeling, because a lot of times we do have a lot of feeling which is sort of a sinking feeling for us, but we certain some way we work around it. How did if you did have that sort of a sinking feeling initially, how did you work around that feeling?
I won't give so much information, but I'll give you a scenario. What if I think we've all gone through COVID. Okay, what if we have another COVID? It won't be as bad as it hit earlier because we've now evolved from it. We know how to live through
Yes.
it. But
Yeah.
what if I throw you on an island where there's no food, no water, nothing to do, and or there is a big wave, and you have been stranded on this island where you have nothing to do, you have only sand all over the place, and you have seawater over the place. After a period
Mm.
of time, you would not be thinking, "Oh my God, somebody's going to come to save me." You're only going to be thinking, "How I need to survive." How am I going to get more creative in getting food for myself? Where can I find people where I can reach out to? How can I communicate to people that I'm there on this island, to all my loved ones who would be worried about? So you would start
Survival.
thinking about all these challenges. Maybe if there are animals, if there are ants, if there are terrorists, if there are adivasis, you have everything all over the place. You would still not be wondering about the challenges. You would be looking at how to survive and get yourself to safety, or communicate or get food, or even have the minimum basics, right? Same way,
Yes.
whether you have done a choice willingly or unwillingly. For example, you just say, I don't want to join a job, to your parent, and you say, I want to start business. Now it was your decision to actually say, I want to start business. Business doesn't happen overnight. It requires funding, it requires an idea, it requires ideation, it requires mentors, it requires the direction to do things in a certain way. And the mindset that no matter how I'm going to fail or fall, I'm still going to move on. Which not many of us have sustenance or resilience or calm, or to move on. Okay?
True.
That's very unlikely the situation of most of us who are youth today, or Gen Z or Gen Y, who are coming in, I would say only with observation, not getting into a bias state, but only with observation of looking at a many people. I'm just making this. So, what can you do that time? If you are unwillingly getting into this state, you all you have to do is figure out solutions, meet people, get to understand business. How are people thinking? How did they evolve? What were the things that they did wrong that I should not be doing wrong? If I'm doing something wrong, what can I do better? Can I get somebody to give me feedback? And this comes in every entrepreneur's life at every stage. Let me tell you, even if I've started 7 years back today, Right to Rise is 7 years. Every 3 years, every 5 years, every 7 years, we have to still reflect back on what we have done so far and what's working now, what's not working now. We may end up at zero anytime, but that zero has to also give us an analysis that we have to move on with something else, which is the change of today. Everything is not a constant, right?
Amazing.
So at that
Yeah.
moment, what you have to do is to be creative, to think about what will make you sustain at that moment of time, and to never give in the thought that, I'm not good enough, I'm just going to be moving on with whatever I have in hand. If I have the water, can I, remove the salt and make it drinkable? Can I go out and look out for the trees and see if there are coconuts or something that I can have? Can I actually fish and see if I can cook it out somewhere? Can I get some log of wood? You would look at the different things. Same way, if I'm at UK at a university, I had no choice but to have those human beings in front of me. At the end of the day, they're human, they're not animals who would eat me. And all I have to do is to see certain criteria of being safe, being cordial, being respectful, and keeping the focus that I'm just there for that cause. I'm not there for
I
any other agenda, right?
Yes, absolutely, Dr. Right. I think very well said. When you are put in a situation where you have no idea about and you have not really anticipated it, I think the first thing, as you mentioned, and I think what I also have understood in my experience is to accept it as early as possible. You have
Absolutely,
to accept
absolutely.
your situation that you're in, whether it's a physical environment, if it's a mental environment, or whatever is something that has been put to you that you were not expecting at all in your life. Accept it, because once you are able to accept it and you stop fighting with that fact, you're able to then do the steps that I think Dr. Anna has very beautifully put, that you have to ask questions, you have to seek for help, you don't have to do the same mistakes that other people have done. So this is really interesting, Dr. Raina, that you know how your mindset really worked. What I see is that you have been a very resilient person, confident about who you are, and always taking actions, very focused from what I understand so far. So from this phase of yours where you were in UK studying about all electronics and very difficult things and very different from what you're doing today, how did you really come about in this journey of doing entrepreneurship in this particular space? What really moved you to do this to begin with?
Right. So, thank you so much first to also bring in that thought that, never stop at one thing and keep moving on. You also said that, many of us have to keep exploring. And one thing that drove me after you spoke was that I think most of us in today's life, we study something, we're doing something else after some years. Okay. And it's a very
Absolutely.
common thing. So I was trying to figure out how to place that, but yeah, I just said it like how it came. It's not something that if you are going to choose engineering today, you will not do a different field. Because as I said, maybe I didn't know that AI chip design was something going to be evolving today. I just did it because, I found it very interesting. I said, I need to do something out of box. I only need to learn. And today you see it's all over the place. Okay, it's number one
Absolutely.
in everything what people want to do. So probably it's just luck. Secondly, also markets change. So because I came from Chennai and from the south driven background, I felt that I should be into the IT world. I wanted to explore on what is a job profile. Went across, did my studies, worked there for some years, came back, got married, and came to the city Mumbai, which I never wanted to come. But that's another story someday. Interestingly, that's another twist and turn and how life happened at Mumbai. After coming to Mumbai, I think because Mumbai is more of a business hub, a more financial place, a more stock market driven place, a more IPO listed place, a more place where people love to creatively do so much across their table, not one thing, but a lot of things. And they are very good at multitasking with doing business activities. I had it in my blood, probably, I would say. That, because I come from a business background family and I see people doing business, it just came back quickly that, you know, even if you are doing training, or if you are, you have been doing IT driven job roles, there is something that is more to give out to the society and people. Because the more and more you travel, the more and more you meet people, the more and more you explore different markets and, different sectors, you realize there is so much to learn and so much to give. And that's always been, pushed in me, that, learning and giving is always there. So how can you give and learn more when you are constrained in one setup? You can't, right? You can only grow limited when you're in a constrained setup. So
Yes.
that made me think that, I'm not somebody who wants to learn this much. I want to learn this much. And it keeps growing, 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 growing. Even today, I want to learn. Okay, I just did a program on AI with 23 tools and how do we
Wow.
implement it 2 days back. And I found that very interesting because everything can happen in a quick of a moment now. You don't even have to like sit down 8 days, 2 months to create a website. You can create that in 5 minutes in a click of a button. And so is, statistics or Excel or Sheets or any of
Hmm.
the other tools that we want, including analysis of data, market, etc., and knowing your own key target audience. So if you can do that so much simpler, then why not learn it, right? Why not automate your
Yes.
systems? Now, here is the question, that when I came to this business market of Bombay, I realized that I need to skill myself to be in a certain place. Now, if I'm just knowing everything on IT, there are so many more things that I don't know, like marketing, banking, analysis of a
Right.
business setup. How do you set up an entity? And today we do not only POSH, POCSO, DE&I, ESG, we also sometimes help startups, business entrepreneurs, MSMEs, SMEs make their entity formation, do trademark, copyright, patent, MSME, GST registrations, then going up, setting up their foundations of their policies and, their NDAs, MOUs, agreements, whistleblower and all those back end, and then probably doing POSH, POCSO, ESG, DNI, human rights. So I understand that if you don't lay your foundation, your building can't grow higher. It will always be
Yes.
shallow. But if you grow with your foundation, then your building is going to go higher and also well spread. You can grow
Yes.
linear or you can grow higher because your foundation is strong, right?
Yes.
If your foundation is strong, nobody can stop you there. So that's where, I wanted to learn different things. I learned training, I learned coaching. I went ahead because of my interactive skills of speaking. I became a TEDx speaker, called once, then called on another aspect of women empowerment, women rights, speaking my own story and challenges for women to understand how they can evolve even from setups that are holding them to grow. MSMEs understand when they start what they should do and what they should not do, and then going ahead and, helping even the people on the boardrooms and CEOs to develop, devise, scale their setups. So ideally, if you are somebody happy with this much, then I think you should stick on to a job. But because I always want to learn, evolve, grow, and I also have the ease of my the pace at which I want to learn. There's no push pull that I'm running a rat race with somebody and want to reach the top quickly. I'm okay to place myself slowly but still do good job. The complexity I bring to setting up and helping them grow, which eventually shows how Right to Rise works. The different consultants who reach out to us for work, the different people who are associated with us, we give them the space to grow and also allow them to give their views. That not only helps them to be a better person and learn from us, and we mutually learn from them. That's how Right to Rise believes that, even if you are growing with a setup, you are still growing on your own as well. And we've never constrained people to do certain things in a certain way. So yes, we are into certifications, ISO certifications, audits, trainings, consulting, and we pick up people when required, which help us to, reach out to the interventions to our clients and vendors. So yes, that's about how, we evolved from somebody who's
Amazing.
doing this to that.
Yeah. I think this is a really in-depth understanding of why you started off firstly and how things kind of,
Evolved, yeah.
started building for you and what really sustains you right now. So I think you have touched upon each aspect of it. And what I like to kind of, take away from your journey so far for our listeners today is that never stop learning. for people who know that learning is the only skill that can take you from A to B to C to even Z, and then probably to something else. You can really turn around yourself if you have the skill of learning. With learning, you can do anything that is, you set your mind to. And as Dr. Raina has very rightly said, that she loves to explore. She loves to learn. She's not satisfied just one thing. She wants to know more about it. And I think there comes a point, as you mentioned, Dr. Raina, that you were doing what you were doing, the job that you were in, but you wanted to do more. You wanted to add to, the quality of life of people who you're working with, to sort of, help people elevate from what you know. And I think that's a kind of a service that a person kind of gives. Once you are good at something and you see that probably you can help other people with the same thing, or help them, empower them in different ways. It could come from any industry. It doesn't really need to be that you have to be in a job setting or you have to be an entrepreneur. Even if you're a stay at home mom, or even if you are a grandparent, even if you are a really young kid, just off the block, everyone has certain skill, or they have certain thing unique in them that they can actually help the other person with. So I think it's just the intention, it's the thought, and the willingness to learn that kind of really pushes you forward and kind of helps you, do a lot of different things. So thank you so much, Dr. Raina, for taking us through your journey so far. It has been really insightful, not just to kind of understand you as a person and what shaped your thought process, and what were the, what do you say, the influences that helped shape you, and then how you shaped your own self with the kind of worldview that you had. It's really lovely to see that how a person evolves, grows, and always goes to the next level when they have the willingness to learn and the intention with them. But there's something that I would like to kind of touch upon. People are often successful when they have tasted really bitter failures, and I have really kind of seen this in my own experience, and a lot of our guest speakers experience, and most people that I meet in person I've seen. And success can be defined in any way that a person really defines success for them own selves. So before we wrap up today, if there's any really heart wrenching, or kind of life changing failure, if not a failure, a roadblock, a challenge that really changed the way that you saw the world, or that changed the way you saw yourself, and that only helped you evolve for better, if you would like to share that with the listeners today.
Good. So hang on, because surprise, 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 you're going to have a eureka moment. So life is never easy and life is always going to be tough. But what you make out of life is only out of your hands. Let me tell you, the person you've seen for the last 45 minutes is not always successful and has always had drops and challenges and failures as well. Let me give you the most simple failure starting from the childhood. I did have a little accident when I was about 4.5, right on my head, and I have a scar right here, where just playing in the family wood or in the house, somebody pushed me and I had some 3 stitches. And I have never spoken of this anywhere at any of the podcast. That one hit on the head and that one stitch on the head did make me realize, look before you leap. We don't know who would give you what kind of mark, and that mark could hit you for life. That also means hit you emotions, maybe make
Mm.
you feel that you should always look carefully before you walk, and think before you talk. And that's the first learning that I remember or I can recollect, because things don't inform you and come. Point number two, when I was in sixth standard, I think the first time I got my maths paper where I got 4 out of 20, that is 20 out of 100. The first time I failed my maths exam. And I'm again telling this is the first time I'm actually saying this out on social media, that that was the first and the last time I would have failed in maths. Okay. And today we run companies. We know what is tax, what is GST. We are doing our compliances. I work into risk compliances, ESG. I'm an independent director of 2 companies. I run my own company. There are so many people working for us. We are 400 plus certified professionals. We've catered to 2 lakh lives. We've done almost 650 companies across India, UAE, Australia, UK, US, and we're doing business of POSH, POCSO, human rights across the globe. Okay, so somebody who's failed, even in school, failed when she was young, failed even probably the TOEFL exam, failed once and then did again so that the TOEFL scores should be good. It's not failure, but yes, the scores were not apt for me to actually apply abroad, but did it again. And there's no looking back of people telling you how many times you can fail but still rise. And when you step every time from losing a job or getting out of a job, going to another job, starting your own business, you're always not going to be hitting. I think the first time people start their business, they say you would not get your first business till about 1.5 years. But I was very fortunate and I was always looking at the focus of my growth. My first, the trainings came in very soon. My first big assignment came in maybe at 9 months, which was very fast. Every year there would be some drop, some rise, some client coming, some client going, some client losing, some client giving. These are things that will always come and go. But what you need to know, if you are a person of dynamic, I'm not saying a woman or man, I'm saying if you're a dynamic person and you still want to go on, overcome all your fears, because there's nobody who's going to push you out of your fear. It's only you, and only you who can move those mountains. Behind every successful woman is her soul, who will push her to rise.
I
Of
love
course,
this.
there will be people who will come and support you. There will be family, maybe yes, maybe no. There will be people who will be bitching about you, people who would love you, people who would hate you. It doesn't matter any. It is all about you and what you feel about yourself that will make you rise. So believe in yourself. Right to rise believes that you will rise too. Thank you so much for having me.
That is so true. And I think one thing that you've mentioned, which I kind of really believe in, is that you are your only savior. You are the only person who can help you out of anything. There will be people coming to help you, but you have to be the first hand for your own self who's putting you out of the situation. And when you do that, when people see you helping yourself get somewhere, they are automatically attracted to help you because they see you doing it for yourself. They know that you're here for a purpose. You have that fire, you have that accountability, that if you can help yourself, they would like to see that how they can help you. So you are the first person. And Dr. Raina, first of all, I would like to say that thank you so much for letting us peep into very challenging times of your life. And if there's one thing that you can tell our listeners today, that if they are in such challenging situations, what was the one thing that you probably told yourself every time these things happen, that you still kept on working for the next chance, for the next chance, and then you really did hit it? And now we know that what you're doing at present is amazing. I mean, it takes a lot of courage, resilience, passion, faith, and a lot of other qualities that someone really needs to kind of, have to kind of maintain and run and sustain a business where so many people, so many lives are involved. What did you tell yourself every time something of that sort happened that actually helped you take the next step to try again?
Dreams will change, goals will change as you grow. All you have to say is your dream is bigger than you, your ego, your failure, your fear, and yourself. Keep everything aside and just say, I'm born to dream, and my dream is here to succeed, and I have to move on. That's all you have to say. बढ़ते रहो, आगे बढ़ो. That's okay. This didn't work. Let me try something else. And I'm sure you've seen many big people, celebrities who failed so many businesses, but today they're successful. So if they have, then we're walking the same path. There's nothing new that you're doing. Maybe sooner, maybe later, but you'll be there.
I love it. Thank you so much, Dr. Raina, for being on my first step ever. I always request my guest speakers to leave our listeners with the quote, but you have already given us some really powerful quotes. But if there's something else that you would like to add, please feel free to.
Keep smiling and always happy, because that is very difficult to
Amazing.
do.
That's very true. So thank you so much, Dr. Raina, for being on this podcast. And I think that's a really, really good way to kind of wrap up the episode, that find happiness, find your happiness. By how you can find your happiness is when you sit with yourself and really very honestly ask yourself, what are the things that actually give you happiness? And when you really ask yourself, you will be surprised to find that it's very small little things. You really don't have to go far away to get that. So thank you for this amazing conversation today. We could really peep into Dr. Raina's world, from her little amazing childhood to the the kind of notions or the kind of world vision that she was given, which probably felt constrained at that point in time. But then she grew out of it with amazing support of her family, and also with her own inner resilience. And now she's at a place where she's helping so many people out there with the whole fact that keep your ego aside and keep trying, because this life is worth living. So for everyone who's listening to us today, if I know that you're interested to know more about Dr. Raina, I will leave a link in the show notes below so you can read more about her. And I think she is coming up with some really interesting book very soon. So feel free to kind of reach out to her to kind of do about that. And as I always tell my listeners, start believing in yourself and keep believing in yourself. See you until next time. Please do give ratings and please do write your comments. And you can directly reach out to me on my first step ever _IN. That's my Instagram handle. A little about myself. I have always loved performing on stage, acting, speaking, and just emoting myself. So I use these mediums different ways so that I can connect with people, help them, empower them, infotain them, which is to inform them and entertain them. If you would like to collaborate for any opportunities, more than welcome to connect with me on my Instagram handle. Thank you.